So we are at Time Market in the West University neighborhood in Tucson, Arizona. It's one of the few places in Tucson where, at, 85 degrees, we can comfortably sit outside in the middle of the day and enjoy of people's company and the birds. And then this neighborhood is also like full of green infrastructure. So on the way here, I still get to enjoy from that, and very easy paced, not a lot of traffic, a lot of people walking, biking around. So my background's in hydrology. My hometown, San Luis, Colorado, is it's named after a river where the water's not flowing. The river's there, but there's no water. And so I always had this curiosity as to why it is that we don't have water in that river. And for a long time, I didn't know how to answer that question. When I was deciding what to do with my life after high school, as a 17-year-old, I found this program at the U of A, Environmental Hydrology and Water Resources. I ended up enrolled in that program, and I had an opportunity to work with Dr. Thomas Meixner at the time in about 2015, where he was looking for students to participate in this research. The broader picture was the anthropological effects on green infrastructure features around town over time. And so we were looking at changes in infiltration rates, organic matter, biogeochemical responses, and so I had my first taste of that in there, right? I think what was really cool is what we emphasized is building with nature. About 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to come back and start working at Watershed Management Group as a green infrastructure person, currently a project manager there. So I believe cities, nature, and humans and wildlife, we can all coexist in our urban environments, in the built environments, and I think to a degree it already is. I think one thing that we have to do for that to improve this coexistence is to shift away from how we think of our own way of living in cities currently. So we're very car-centric. We think of nature being out there as opposed to everywhere, or us being part of that. And so for me, it's to continue on that educational path of getting people informed and convinced and on board with all of these practices, right? I think a lot of that falls on us as scientists, organizers, as representatives, specifically from the the city and stuff like that, to do that work so that we are able to live more in harmony with nature. Through this work, I've realized more and more that the same way that there's hydrologic disconnects between even how the law or policy sees it, right, groundwater and surface water, there's this disconnect of the community, the people that make our communities, and their surroundings. And so a lot of what I've seen is, people don't feel a connection, a belonging, and ownership to place and for these things that we're trying to push and promote. And I think the work lies there. And when I say people, I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying there's people throughout Tucson that are missing that connection for different reasons. And so from there, we start looking at all the different sort of social intersections, environmental, racially, of all these different reasons why people are not as connected with their surroundings, and why don't realize the huge value of sort of this practice in urban settings. And so I think for me, it's a lot. I see my work as, yes, water harvesting and green infrastructure and all of those great things that come along with it, reducing heat island effects, pollinator gardens, increased shade, organic cover, all of those different things. But I think what excites me a lot about this work is the connection or the reconnection, nature or that ecological relationship that we have with our environment, our surroundings. I get a lot of opportunities where I work with people, and putting a plant in the ground, it's such a healing thing for folks, and provides this sense of meaning and belonging and stewardship where they might have not had that in any other way. And I was just talking to a buddy of mine last week where they were saying that what we do, that's land back. That's like working with the land, working the land, bringing all of these things in, putting the water in the ground and stuff like that. That's one way of doing it. So for me, it's about justice and participation and community building and organizing. I feel that as people and living beings in a constant flow of energy and nutrients, that there's a rhythm that we're in sync with at all times. I'm a drummer, right? So I like, there's sometimes that I'm like, there's rustling in the leaves, and like maybe rocks falling, or like if I'm digging a hole on the ground, or looking at branches and thinking of those as waves of sound. I don't know. It reminds me of music. It reminds me of creativity and expression, and I think all of that is all in the same joint.
Wow.
Yeah.